That's good.
That's our new thing. It's one of those like big, what are they called? Freighters?
No.
That's
Oh, a whale?
What? Yeah, a whale.
A whale?
Welcome, everybody. Random.
Welcome to Whale Player.
Whale Player. Guys, if you were... Oh, wait. No, I probably should do the names first. My name is Guillermo. I'm your host. With me today are my co-hosts, the lovable, huggable, all the bulls, Zach Matscanis.
Well. Good to see you again.
And we have that other one, Javier Ortiz.
Hello.
The one whose name is so much fun to say.
Enjoying my tall glass of ice-cold milk.
You know,
That is fucking gross.
I have
delicious.
my milk as well.
No, you don't.
Cheers.
This is milk.
That's just... That's disgusting. Guys, please comment how weird that is.
Milk is delicious.
I need someone to back me up on that. You don't drink milk in that capacity. Anyways,
Sure
if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can clearly see the drinking milk, and you also know that we're on our YouTube podcast. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't say anything. I'm all flustered. You guys are drinking milk.
It's a good way to start the show.
I know, right? On YouTube, we have a YouTube channel where you can watch this show visually, and you can also see all the things we're talking about in real time on our YouTube channel called youtube.com/multiplayer. Now, if you're not seeing this, well, you're probably listening to it because we have a podcast as well on iTunes and Google Play, and of course, the newly founded YouTunes that we're trying to get going. So visit our Kickstarter to see if that'll happen. No, I'm just kidding. And we also have a Patreon as well, where we encourage our members, our viewers, to go and check that out, because with just a little bit of help every month, you guys can help make this show bigger and better. And we also give you, just for $1 a month, one donation of $1 a month. You get 2 extra videos. And
a glass of milk.
Yeah, exactly. A glass of milk. You don't have to drink it. I would encourage you not to, since we shipped it to you. But with those 2 videos, they actually come out every other Friday. But if you don't feel like you want to, you're not encouraged to donate just yet, we will change your mind. But don't worry, because those exclusive videos are only exclusive for a week, and they come to the masses on our podcast and YouTube channel a week later, every other Friday.
Yep, just like that.
See if you can do that math.
Every other Friday.
Every other Friday.
That's right.
Another Friday.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are rolling on many cylinders right now.
Like one cylinder.
So I think the best way to start this show is with a little bit more of a focus. And also, and to kind of, because I found a thing that I know is gonna, like, you guys are gonna have a lot of opinions on. You have a lot of opinions on this thing.
I got opinions.
You have opinions, and I want to see what you think, because we recently talked on this show a few weeks ago about how Injustice 2 is coming out with a new DLC where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are gonna be. We had a theme song. It was great.
Yeah, that was great. I enjoyed that.
It was a good time. We should have a flashback. We're not going to. Anyways, so we were excited. We obviously were like super looking forward to some turtle action, kicking some superhero asses.
Yeah.
However, there seems to be a little bit of backlash from the rest of the community, especially with Injustice, saying that the inclusion of these, more comedic and cartoonish characters might break the immersion or the atmosphere and the mood of a game, which is inherently pretty gritty and serious. Anyways, as serious as it can be.
It's a superhero game.
Right. So,
you have like a billionaire dude trying to fight essentially a god.
This is true. But the thing is, because when we see that game, I mean, I'm going to explain what the plot of that game is, because it is ridiculous. But it has a very dark and mature kind of theme to it. So people are like, I don't like all these turtles in this game. Like, that's just
but they're not.
Raphael.
They're not in the story.
True, they're not.
So what's the big deal? It's like playing a Mortal Kombat game and then you can play as Predator. What Predator's got nothing? There's no aliens. Like,
Predator is inherently badass, though. That's not a good
This doesn't matter. And then you can play as Jason Voorhees in Mortal Kombat. They have nothing to do with each other.
It's true. It is true, and that's the thing that is pretty common throughout a lot of fighting games. But the contrast people are using as a point of reference here is Smash Brothers. The way Smash Brothers introduces characters like Snake and Cloud from Final Fantasy VII into Super Smash Bros. 4 for the Wii U, people didn't have such a reaction to that, or actually Snake was on Brawl. But anyways, they didn't have a reaction to those inclusions of those characters, because the whole premise of the game is that it's a kid playing with action figures and making them fight.
I mean, that was kind of they sort of set that up for N64 and that, but it's just at the end of the day, it's a fighting game. It's in a fighting game, it's there's not necessarily a story to it. If there is a story, those characters probably aren't in it. But it's just it's a fighting game. I mean, it's been fighting games have always been like that. You think about Soul Calibur 2, and you had Link and Spawn,
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
It's
just you have these kind of very classic, characters with swords, and then you just Darth Vader.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, I don't see what the big deal is.
And another game that people are using as a point of reference too is that Tekken 7 is just now have announced that Noctis, the main protagonist from Final Fantasy 15, is going to be in that game too.
Is that really that dude's name?
Noctis.
Noctis.
Nice.
AKA Final Fantasy Backstreet Boy.
It's a bad name.
Sounds
it is a weird name.
Reminds me
it
of
sounds like a bad guy. Noctis.
Yeah.
Of the Nocturnal Realm. It sounds like he should be casting darkness.
Yeah, he's like a vampire man.
Right. But so that's kind of like the whole thing. But like you said, this isn't like a new thing for fighting games.
Yeah,
it's
always
feature,
been a thing.
Yeah, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, it's when it comes to DLC for fighting games, you're just playing it just to have fun and fight other characters.
Sure.
It's not
to make the game fresh.
Yeah, you're not doing a campaign where all of a sudden you have to the Turtles are teaming up with Batman, even though that did happen in a DC comic book.
Yeah,
so I mean, this year, so that's why the Turtles are in it probably. But
there's also a talking ape as a playable
Gorilla
character.
Grodd.
Yeah, already in the game. So
yeah,
it's that doesn't break the immersion for you, but
is
Turtles do.
Yeah, it doesn't make. I mean, you look into the DC comic universe. It is weird.
Yeah.
There's lots of. There's a cat as a Red Lantern who is also in Injustice 2.
As dope.
Yeah, the cat is a Red Lantern.
So
I don't
Red Lanterns bad? Oh, it's yellow.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
Oh, okay.
They live off of
evil
anger.
Cat? That's fucking dope.
Yeah, and it has a really tragic backstory. I'm not going to dive into it, but it's a very tragic
backstory. It's just Oliver and Company.
He didn't get any tuna.
The cat didn't get any tuna, and then now it's a Red Lantern.
Powers.
But no, I mean, it's ridiculous to try and say the Turtles don't belong there just because they wouldn't fit in with the darkness. Motherfucker, you got a cat with a Red Lantern ring. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's
Be
kind of
grateful.
It's a stupid thing to complain about. And
Yeah.
A lot of times I feel like gamers complain to complain. It's just man, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's just dude, nobody cares what you want. You're gonna buy that game anyways, most likely.
Plus, it's why are you complaining about extra features in a game? Why are
Exactly.
you complaining that something's gonna make your game last longer?
And you don't need to buy it. It's a DLC expansion. They're just characters that you can add to the game. You don't have to play as them.
If you don't buy it, it's kind of dumb because it's.
That's what I'm saying. It's Turtles. Why are you against this?
At the end of the day, this is the first good game that the Turtles have been in since probably Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
So it's just dude, just the people that want a good Turtles game, just let them have that.
Yeah,
it's damn.
It's people like that need to stop playing video games.
Just go away.
Just go away.
That's the verdict. Okay.
Yeah, just need to go away.
Pretty harsh verdict, but okay, I agree.
Well, stop being a douchebag.
It's stop buying season passes, don't buy loot boxes, and don't complain about good things.
Yeah, just don't buy video games in general.
Just go outside.
Rule of threes, man.
Yeah.
Go outside, dig a hole, put your head in it, and then just
Become an
leave it alone.
emu,
And then stay there. And then you're
All
fine.
right, guys. Well, yeah, I mean, when I saw that too, I was like, this is an interesting thing to gripe about. And I knew that you guys stopped with the milk. I knew that you guys would gripe
It's delicious.
would gripe about it.
Sure, mix love and all that ice just jangling around in there as he takes the headphones off.
I just need
It's just so weird. Okay, moving
You're
on. There's not
weird.
really any way to segue out of that, especially with the milk.
Why?
debacle.
What is so weird about milk?
It's fucking milk.
Milk. You drank it as a baby.
Ice.
This
cold.
isn't milk play. We're talking about multiplayer. We're talking about games. All right, let's switch it back out. So okay. I actually recently played a game that blew my mind,
Hellblade.
and I had to change my pants after we finished playing it. It was so good.
Pong for the Atari.
Where did this game? When did that come out?
This game's great. You move laterally. So, what remains of Edith Finch? The reason I wanted to bring it up is because we just talked about Annapurna the other day with their mobile game Florence, and the Machine. Not so bad.
I like them.
Yeah. Annapurna. I actually had never played one of their games before playing What Remains of Edith Finch, and it was kind of funny because the situation that I found myself playing in was I had introduced my friend to Hellblade, and he was like, I got one for you, and he showed me What Remains of Edith Finch, and then I promptly began to weep because that game is amazing.
It's a good trade-off.
It's so good. But the reason why I'm bringing it up right now is because not only was this released this year, and I kind of want to start talking, into an episode to come about Game of the Year. I want to get into a really deep conversation, and I think it's a huge contender. But also, they have just announced that they're getting a physical release of that game with a beautiful cover and a reversal cover. Actually, it has some artwork on the other side, and it comes out next month on the 2018 January. I encourage you guys to get it.
Coming out this month?
Not yet.
No, that's next year, dude.
It's next month though.
Next year.
But it's the same thing. You can't argue that. That's
It's
logic.
next year. It's next year.
But it's also next month.
Yeah.
The turn of the year is next month. Okay, well, you're wrong.
It's next year.
We're both right. I don't know what we're complaining about.
I like milk.
But it's coming out next year. And in tandem with it, I Am 8-Bit, another website that we talked about like on our first episodes. They are a video game website that sells a lot of really cool merchandise for a lot of independent games, actually. And what they're doing in tandem with the physical release is they're actually having pre-orders for the vinyl release of the soundtrack, which is... It's so good. It is so good. It's beautiful. It's really orchestrated. It has this beautiful tone. It's the game itself, and it also reflects the music, is beautifully tragic because it involves you play Edith Finch revisiting your childhood home, and the home itself has been added on over the years because it's been like in their family's lineage for a long, long time. And with each new family member, they added a new portion of the house, and so it ended up becoming this like really sprawling, interesting looking like almost tree house kind of thing. But as you go through these rooms of this vacant house of your childhood home, you start to visit each ancestor's backstory when you enter their specific room. And like when you do that, it actually kind of takes you back in time and you play as that ancestor. And it kind of starts to tell you about this curse the family has, about like why you're the only remaining remaining Finch member of the family. But each time you play one of these new storylines for your ancestors, it's a brand new mechanic. And it is very inventive. It kept the game extremely fresh. And it's only about an hour and a half gameplay, but like I kept finding myself completely compelled and moved at each turn of these stories, of these little things. And in tandem with that, as you're going from room to room, you have these like narrated parts telling the story of what Edith Finch remembers and how she remembers these people that you just played as. And it's overall just an absolutely gorgeous experience. I really want you guys to play it so that when we do talk about Game of the Year, I have a feeling you guys are going to be like...
Yeah, it's definitely, it's been one of those games that I really need to play through that. I'm really behind on Gone Home. I really need to like play through that game and
right, which is another Annapurna game. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, and like Tacoma looks really interesting. You said you didn't like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, but that was something that like I like games like that where you just kind of
triggered.
Like, that was a whole thing before you came over.
I'll mention it here briefly.
We sat down, we had some milk, we talked.
Oh
about
God,
it.
He had some milk, which made me even more mad.
More so furious.
It's for breakfast only.
You just slapped it out of my hand. But I like, I love this medium because there's so many different types of like video games you can play. Everything from like, something from a Wolfenstein to a Tetris to something like.
Love Wolfenstein.
I know, Wolfenstein.
So good.
Something like,
but
so good.
To something like this where it's just like you're walking around, and your entire thing is just like I'm gonna listen to this story. I'm gonna, it's almost like a picture book you can kind of wander through.
That's the best way to describe this game. It is very much like a picture book, and especially in the way it tells the story and with the graphics that they chose. The art style is really unique. But this game is kind of getting lumped in the category as a walking simulator, which is what Gone Home and Tacoma are.
Right.
It's this kind of game genre that is basically you are on rails for the majority of it. Some games like to kind of trick you as if you're controlling a story in different ways, but for the majority of it, you're on rails and learning through just exploring this space or this world, the overarching story of either your character or of the scenery or whatever, and they can range from something really moving and like almost poetry like Dear Esther was, which was also made by Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, or it can be a fucking mess like Everyone's Gone to the Rapture because that game is the worst. I played Hellblade, What Remains of Edith Finch, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, and that was the worst thing you could have ever done.
Jeez.
It's bittersweet because it like raised the standard of these other games, but then also made me hate video games for a second because.
Damn.
Because well, I'll pass it back to you guys. Have you played any walking simulators that like really moved you, or any kind of experience like that? Like I played Dear Esther. That's a really good one. But Gone Home is one. Layers of Fear is technically a walking simulator, but it's a horror game that we talked about. The same makers of Observer. I'm trying to think of other ones.
Played any?
So
not recently anyway.
Right.
I would say the best. I kind of hate the word walking simulator. It's kind of
makes it sound extremely boring.
It sounds like you're just simulating walking. Right. That's the entire gameplay.
But it's a lot of these games,
it's
the game.
It's a story simulator.
Sure.
It's like, a lot of those kind of walking simulator games that I kind of think of sort of like that. A lot of Bethesda games I think are kind of like that, but obviously there's more to it. It's something like Dishonored or Wolfenstein, where it's just like you're walking around, you're just like, and I think BioShock's kind of like this. It's like there's more to the game, obviously,
I can see what
but
you're
it's
saying.
like just being able to walk into a room. You're like looking at the walls. There's like blood smeared on it. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There's a diary in a corner. You pick it up. You can read it. Things like that. Like I love games with it's just like this world that's really just thought out, and it's just there's just stuff everywhere, and you could say the same thing about like the Metroid games, like Metroid Prime and stuff, where you just.
Well, it sounds like you're just talking about atmosphere of a game and visual storytelling in video games.
Like I can't think, and I'm sure I've played a couple. I can't think of any off the top of my head that are more in that kind of Tacoma or like Gone Home kind of realm. But
yes, you have PT.
Oh yeah, PT.
PT is technically a walking simulator where you just are walking through, which is the playable teaser for Silent Hills.
Oof, man, that's.
But that is technically a horror walking simulator because these games, what differentiates it from games like BioShock and stuff like that, are really the majority of the gameplay is you walking. Like you don't really have much other agency besides that.
I mean,
except
would you
in
consider
games
like something like what's it called? Slender Man? Would that be a
walking
simulator?
Yeah, that is. It has
Amnesia.
It's focused more on the storytelling aspects than it is on the gameplay aspects. But what makes a good walking sim, for lack of a better term, is that it still finds a way to make it exist only in that medium, right? Like What Remains of Edith Finch, I could not imagine it in any other form besides a video game, and that's what makes it so powerful. Is because you're experiencing this story. And there's these interesting game mechanics that they introduce, and it heightens the story. It just makes it this really grand adventure. Whereas you have everyone's gone to the Rapture, and the literal only thing you do in that fuck off game is walk. And they give you, I'm sorry, but they give you an open world. It's the size of LA, damn near, it feels like. And you walk the pace of an infant crawling. God. It is the most annoying goddamn thing. You spend 20 minutes walking, following this ball of light that's supposed to be your guide, but it's like, fuck you. And it leaves you. And it leaves you, and you're like, where's the story? And you're like, all right, I guess I'll explore. And there's a fuckload of houses, and they're all locked. And I'm like, okay, if I can't explore, and I don't know where the story guide is, what do I do? It's so stupid. I hate it.
It's okay. It won't hurt you. It's okay.
But like,
it can't hurt you anymore. It's all right.
But what you have with What Remains of Edith Finch is a very focused story, and it's a really enticing, immersive story that is beautiful and heightened with so many different elements that they utilize through game mechanics, they utilize through the soundtrack, which I highly recommend. If any vinyl collectors should definitely pre-order this thing on IM8, but it's only $28. And you should play the game too, because I'm going to probably buy it, and I'm going to have you guys over, and we're all going to play it and experience
I hope
it.
the game, they put it onto the vinyl as well, so you have to cram the vinyl into your PS4.
Like a beta disc.
Get in! Just get in there!
No, you melt the wax, you compact it, and you shove it in.
Wait, so it's on PS4 then?
It is going to be on PS4 exclusive for $29.99. I'm sure you can probably pre-order it right now as a physical copy at other retailers, especially on like Amazon and stuff like that. But it comes out January 2018, and guys,
but
this is going to be on my top 5.
You can get the digital version on PS4.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like that's only for a physical copy.
Right, but the
how much is the digital copy?
I think it's the same price. The get for
like
the
$20.
It's either $20 or $29. But the get for the physical copy is, I think it comes with a little bit of extra content. The article that I read didn't say anything about that, but the cover art is like, is a custom cover art from like the actual artist.
Yeah,
well, they're gonna have plenty of room on that vinyl to put more content. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the vinyl itself, though, like the packaging, like IM8 always does a great job with their packaging, and it's a beautiful, like the color of the vinyl is like, it looks like this. It looks like the wood of this table, and it's really pretty. But so yeah, definitely a good collector's item. That's what you're pretty much buying the physical copy for, anyways.
Sure.
Physical thing, but you can definitely get it on digital copy right now. You should, because everything about that game, especially the music, is amazing.
I think I will.
I just wanted to gush about that for a quick second.
We'll definitely.
Are you really considering that game of the year?
I really truly am.
Wow.
It's because it's a game that's an hour and a half, and it made me feel so strongly in such a small amount of time, and like really took me through like an emotional ride. It was beautiful. So like something that has such a short amount of time that you sit down with a short amount of time with, and it can make you feel that strongly. I feel like it's a very
those are always the best games, man.
Right. It's a testament to how well they told their story. You know, they have you for, it's like a good short story. They have you for 15 pages, and if you're bored, that's it. They don't have the time of a novel or a whole video game like Hellblade. It had like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, but man, that but
Hellblade's
honestly,
so
like I couldn't.
It's so good. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
I couldn't picture Hellblade any shorter. Like I think it was like the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, I know I told you guys this, where it's just like it's about 6 hours long. Play all the way through one sitting.
Yeah.
Because by the end of it, you're as mentally drained as your main character, and it's so good that way. It's so good that way. You're just like. Yeah. And then after that, it's like the world's longest, craziest roller coaster, and you like get off of it, and you're just like, oh man.
What's funny is like, and we always kind of go off on Hellblade, but just one more thing.
Sure. I mean, I'll gladly talk the rest of the 40 minutes.
When I got to the end of that game, and like I realized what was happening at the end, about like how it actually ends, because you're fighting, and then you find out, spoilers, you find out that you can't like beat them, like it's just an endless horde, and so you're just, hey, turn that down.
Hey, Lauren.
Turn that down.
It's a little loud.
I'm trying not to listen to you talk about Hellblade.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful game.
I don't want to know what happens at the end.
Well, it's a beautiful game.
We're done talking about it.
Are you?
It's really good.
Sure?
Yeah.
Keep going back to it.
It's just a beautiful game. When I realized what happened at the end, it drained me.
So good. So, we won't have any spoilers of Hellblade.
Even the people right off camera, don't spoil that.
I was taking care of it on my own, but that didn't work for you. So.
You're blasting music over there. We hear it.
Speaking of game music, guys. So, another walking simulator that you guys have absolutely played, I just realized, was Journey.
Oh yeah.
Journey at Abzu.
Is that I guess
Yeah,
that is
that's
walking.
totally-
I thought about that while you were explaining, but everything else that like Zach was saying was like first person, so I was like,
Well, but his examples were wrong. So
fair enough.
Look, I was
I
bringing
understand.
up things I could think of off the top of my head.
No, I'm kidding. I'm screwing with you. But the that game company, they made Flow, Flower, and Journey, and then the creative director of Journey split off, and he made Abzu with his own company, Giant Squid. The creators that game company is now making a new game that was actually released back at E3 called Sky. Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is it's kind of in the same vein. It's got beautiful. It's a walking simulator driven by gorgeous orchestral pieces, this beautiful composed music, but it is exclusive on Apple devices, iPhone, iPad.
That's so dumb.
Apple TV. Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, again, we've been talking about how much.
Why the hell would you make it like a game exclusive for Apple?
Maybe to sell iPhone 10s.
That might be it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
Mick.
Oh, there you go.
Mick.
is over there with iPhone 10.
Mick is like Xbox
I'm
Apple guy.
better than you. We get it.
You just like to buy devices with the word or the letter X in it.
It's got an X. It's badass.
Extreme.
What's up, guys? But
And X-Men. It's the only movie he watches, X2.
but yeah, we talked on the show about how mobile games are kind of becoming a platform for these developers to really experiment on, and so I'm not writing it off just yet. But the interesting thing that I saw about this game was that what is his name? His name is Vince Diamante. He has a name that rivals yours, sir.
Sure, why not?
But he is actually the audio director of the game, and he's decided to debut as a musical composer for the game itself. And this article that I was reading was actually kind of like going into a little bit of a deeper dive with how he's deciding to compose the music with these simple woodwinds. He wants to make the instrumentation very simple, like as if anyone can pick up a flute and just begin to play, because it's a very childlike game in nature. It's all about exploring, and he wanted to have these airy moments as you drift through the sky. And I was interested in how these composers are deciding to use elements of the game to dictate how they make their music. And
I would hope so.
Right. But
You're not just like playing like Zelda and just some crazy like rock band comes out of nowhere, just shredding on a guitar.
Although,
what is happening?
A Ganon fight would be dope with some like super sweet guitar licks.
Some Slayer.
Yes,
background.
Slayer. But yeah, so like I just thought it was really interesting because it's we assume that when we see these composers or when we hear the music for these video games that it was obviously dictated by some sort of game mechanic or the way that the story is being told. But to hear a brand new audio composer or someone who's debuting as an audio composer for this game to describe his process, it's really interesting to see how much thought is put into that, right?
Totally.
Which I think that people don't necessarily give enough attention to in the first place.
Yeah, it's always like stuff like that's always it's always interesting to me because obviously it's like I'm not really into the music world very heavily. You know, it's like I there's my bands and stuff that I like, but you know, I'm not professionally trained as a musician or anything like that. So it's like hearing things about music's always pretty interesting, especially like when it comes to a medium that I love, like video games, or it's like, you know, having somebody talk about how they decided to go a certain direction with the music and how, and video games are weird too because it's like, you know, you might have a song that at some point, you know, your character starts running and an enemy shows up and it's like, okay, where it has to progressively, just out of nowhere, it's like it's
dynamic.
that it's like this dynamic music and stuff. I'm like, I don't even know how people think about that kind of stuff. It's like my brain is so not in that world.
Well, I mean, think about the best example of that came out last year was Doom. Doom did that really, really intensely.
Oh man, Doom's really the music in Doom is just awesome.
Yeah, every action you do, or the music is dictated by every action that you do, so it feels super epic when you do some badass thing.
It's so cool.
And I think it's a little bit taken for granted. Because, and this is another point that I want to make too. So Vince Diamante, he is, I think he's having to fill some really big shoes because on Giant Squid, which is the same creative director as Journey, both Abzu and Journey had Austin Wintory.
Wintry.
Yeah.
Like the season.
No, it's with an O.
Watery?
Wontonnery. Yeah.
Wontonnery.
No, Austin Wintory, he actually was the composer for Journey and for Abzu. And the game, I mean,
Abzu's got a good score.
Both games are beautiful scores,
Yeah.
but Journey specifically made history by being the first video game soundtrack to be nominated for a Grammy. Alongside...
Was it really?
Yeah, it was alongside Hans Zimmer, Trent Reznor, and John Williams that year.
That's pretty incredible.
And he made history. So the fact that this Diamante, the fact that he is actually having to go in and fill those shoes for one of their games that is associated with Journey is quite a feat. So he has to really step up his game, and I'm excited to see just from that aspect alone how the game is going to turn out because those games are fueled so much by their music.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's things like you know, the American Association of Moving. What is it? Pictures, Oscars. What is that?
What?
The organization that does the Oscars, American Pictures and Film.
It's Oscars.
Whatever. Yes.
Group
that
Unlimited.
organization, for them to start recognizing the impact of video game music, and for these sources like im8bit.com to turn these beautiful soundtracks into vinyl collection for collectors is awesome. You know, like people are taking notice and trying to find this medium on different outlets, you know, just to experience by themselves.
Well, it's about time we get some recognition.
I
There's some
know.
damn good video game music out there.
know.
I remember my mom, like, she don't know anything about video games. But like, I remember I was playing Legend of Zelda N64 music. And, you know, it's just like you put on the theme song, it's beautiful. Like, even the intro, where it's not the Hylian theme, but the intro to the actual game. Yeah, where it's very slow. And I was listening to it, like, she could hear it, like, through my iPod, like, my earphones. And she's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's just, it's just, like, orchestrated music.
Yeah.
But she was like, you listen to, like, orchestras? I'm like, yeah, well, it's video game music. She was like, what?
My son is classy? What?
Well, that's the thing. The first time I went to go see the Symphony of the Goddesses, I told her that I was like, hey, I'm going out with a couple of my friends and we're going to go see a show at the Mann Center, which is what it's called in Philly, where they play at. And she was like, what are you going to go see there? And I was like, oh, it's an orchestra, big orchestra band. They're playing some music. She's like, wow, look at my son, so classy. I'm like,
She began to cry.
I was like, yeah, it's based off a video game. And, like, she started cracking up when I said that. But I was like, you laugh, but like you listen to that kind of music and it's gorgeous. Like listen to music like Legend of Zelda or Final Fantasy music as well is beautiful. And like any orchestrated, especially orchestrated remixes of like 8-bit songs. Like one of my favorites is the DuckTales Moon theme. They did an orchestra remix for that. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Like, I love that song so much. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that people are finally realizing that video games so much.
I feel like like if you're not in the world of video games at all, it's just like everybody just thinks that even now, like 2017, everybody's like, oh, it's just like Mario music, right?
You got a
It's just
Nintendo?
Like,
But even that is so iconic.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that tune.
You
Everyone
only
can
need to
hum
play it for a
It's
second and you know what
really-
it is.
The musical theory of the Mario songs especially are like really intricate.
But it's just like
amazing.
everybody, like, you know, if you don't, if you haven't looked at a video game in 20 years, you still just think that's what video games are.
Right.
It's like, no, video games, they can be anything now.
I mean, look at Naughty Dog. They do a lot of orchestral pieces too for the Uncharted
dude,
games. And like,
the Uncharted
they had
game is so
Gustavo
good.
Santaolalla as the consumer, as the composer.
I'm sure he was a consumer as well.
Probably, but as the composer for Last of Us, who also he also composed Babel, Brokeback Mountain, a lot,
Yeah, dude. And it's funny. I have a buddy of mine at work who he's done some DJing in, and he's really into like, I think it's called like synth music or something like that. It's like electronic. But he was telling me that like because of games like from the 90s, like the Super Nintendo, N64, that era, that inspired an entirely new generation with that type of music. Because like, you listen to a lot, like one of the most famous like Donkey Kong songs, Aquatic Ambiance, and like they've done so many like synth remixes of that, and it's a really like popular song to do like electronic type of music towards. And like a bunch of those old like chiptune style or even the N64 era music, like all that inspired a whole new like generation into like electronic.
Absolutely.
Stuff
DJ CUTMAN.
DJ CUTMAN, yeah, like he's like
and it did influence a lot of like gamers and introduce them to new musical theories and everything too. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like when you said Zelda, Ocarina of Time, that was like they put such a prominence in the music in that game to where it was actually a game mechanic that like it blew my mind, and it really got me to notice the music of that game. And now it's like one of my favorite. I mean, I just got that Ocarina of Time, the Hero of Time vinyl from I Am 8-Bit. Whoa.
There's if there was one thing I was
tears.
kind of not upset about, but just I was missing it from Breath of the Wild was that musical aspect. Like it's a great score, but like
as a tool in
as
the
a
game?
tool,
Yes, I do miss as a game mechanic, but we both can
Yeah.
we all
I mean,
can
I'm
agree
glad
that
they-
soundtrack is
Oh no,
They-
Breath of the Wild soundtrack is still great.
And
It's just I just missed that.
Yeah. And another thing too is that people again don't realize how important game music is. The fact that like just recently there was a paper published in the Acoustical Society of America, which sounds like
Fancy.
a made up thing, but it's not. But there was actually a scientific paper published by a psychologist as well as I believe a neurologist and a student of those disciplines. The paper's title was Bidirectional Audiovisual Influences on Temporal Modulation Discrimination, which is probably the smartest
Sounds fancy.
phrase that has been ever uttered on the show.
Yeah.
And I almost mispronounced it. So what does that say? But basically the paper was about the relationship between audio and visual stimuli. And they used a video game that they actually made for this experiment and for the paper, for the case study, called Fish Police.
Oh.
Which you actually discriminate against darker colored fish. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
Hey, it says discrimination in the title of the paper. No. So essentially what the whole thing is actually you have to distinguish, the player is sitting in a boat at a top-down angle, and they have to see in this pond that they're in, distinguish good fish from bad fish. And the way that you distinguish that is by good fish change size, either grow or shrink slowly, and bad fish change their size more rapidly. But what the whole kind of control aspect of the experiment is that they decided first to give musical cues attached to these fish, to help distinguish besides just the change in size. And so what they realized is that players who had those musical cues were able to react and identify these fish on a much quicker basis. Now, when they used confusing musical cues that didn't mix up with the fish themselves, it actually hindered their reaction time and their identification process. And when there was no music at all, it was significantly worse than with confusing music. And so that was what they were trying to kind of find, and it kind of started to realize that how important that sound effects, soundtracks, as well as just Mario going woohoo as he jumps around, how important that is, because as soon as you mute it off, it's proven. This seems like common sense, but it's been proven that you do inherently worse without those cues, without those kind of signals.
Not to sound like a jerk, but it's like, duh.
Yeah, I know. It does.
It's like I don't think you need a study for that. I think it's just like, well, yeah. There's a reason we got like ears and stuff. It's like through time, humans are like, hey, it helps? Sound.
Yeah, well, I think that it's interesting that obviously you're going to do worse. I think that's the obvious part of it, is that you're going to do worse inherently if you're playing a game on mute. But I think it's interesting that you play it that much better when the musical cues are like helping you out. It's still pretty obvious. But another paper that came out in Psychology Today was published, not today, but that's where it was published.
Right.
Was that players of StarCraft, that computer game, the real-time strategy game by Blizzard actually, performed better when they played music that's not from the game, like music that they were playing in tandem, like from their playlists or whatever. That was somehow fused well with the game itself, like either was harmonically in sync or whatever. It helped them actually stabilize and focus on what they were playing, and that's drowning out the StarCraft sound effects as well. And that's actually how I play Overwatch. It's really, I mean, like I
you've
find,
talked about that.
Yeah, I find that I do better when I start listening to like bands that I love, like on my Spotify in tandem, like in my headphones, blasting it while I play Overwatch.
Yeah, see, I can't for a lot of games, and he's shaking his head like, nope.
I can't listen to music while playing games.
Oh, dude,
I
love
can't-
it.
I have to hear
Focus.
footsteps.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, exactly. It's like, especially like Overwatch, like gotta hear them footsteps. Like you got Reaper just clomping away right behind you, like trying to sneak up on you. Like turn around, like no, you're wearing like cement shoes,
Stop
dude.
it.
Like why are you so loud?
Reaper no sweat, Reaper no reaping.
Yeah.
Come on.
It sounds like when you turn that music on, like you're honed in on one thing, and that's kind of like, I think that's kind of what music does for, and this is outside of video games as well. Like people will turn on music when they're doing anything, and it helps them just hone in
like
on one
working
thing.
out or something like
Yeah, and it just like it drives your focus onto that one thing. So like when you're playing Overwatch, and I know you play as Tracer a lot, it's like you're honing in on just kill.
Yeah.
And so like
Murder.
Oh yeah, but I think and that's,
No, video games are great for me.
Yeah.
Good for my head.
I'm listening to Chopin, but I'm murdering people.
But it's like I think it's like if you were to play someone else, it might be more difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So like because you're focused on one thing, which is flank attack.
Not true. Even with Diva, I do. I do switch around a lot, like McCree as well. Like I do inherently better when I'm listening to music.
Really?
But it also could be the day. There's variables, maybe
Yeah,
I'm tired, or maybe whatever.
I mean, who knows? I mean, all that kind of stuff, I guess, is very subjective. But, like, I just know that it just seems like music will always hone in on what you're doing. And, like, it's like Zach said, I mean, for sound effects and stuff in games, like, duh. Like, of course it's going to make noise when I do something, and of course it's going to make me respond to it.
I think the bigger challenge is trying to take a game seriously when you have, hey, now, you're a rock star. They should Smash Mouth in all the games and see how that affects people's psychology.
Play the Shrek game?
Yeah, exactly. No, just play like Ganon, like with Smash Mouth, like you're a rock star.
It would ruin every game in the world for me.
I think it would too.
Except maybe the Shrek game.
Hell yeah.
Well, you can absolutely try this with brand new games that are coming out this December. Actually, we can try the Smash Mouth experiment all day. Because
I think there's only one brand new game coming out in December.
no, I
Like
will
brand
prove you
new?
wrong. I will prove you
Prove
wrong,
me
just
wrong.
like how wrong it is for you to drink milk as much as you.
I mean,
do.
there's like other things coming out, but it's like ports or it's out on another console.
Well, all right. So this is actually coming out. What day is this coming out? On December 9th, whatever.
Eh.
I don't know. What is it?
So there's going to already some of these games have already been
on
coming-
Thursday when you watch this, look at your calendar.
Oh! Shit, I'm late! No, anyways, so starting on December 1st, there was Doom VFR finally came out for PS4.
EFR.
VFR. I know
love
you. I like it. I
love
what
it
they
so
did there.
much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like the BFG.
Exactly. Yeah, and I haven't heard much about it, but that was one of the VFR experiences or VR experiences that I was actually looking for.
No, you said it right the first time.
People have good things to say about that, and even Skyrim.
Right. Yeah. Well, wait, Skyrim VR? That hasn't come out yet.
I think so.
Fallout VR. Fallout 4 VR
No,
is
I'm
coming
pretty sure
out
Skyrim,
on the 12th.
Skyrim VR's out. So there's already reviews up for it.
Anyway, so December 1st also has Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming out, which apparently
that's
is
the new game.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one that
That's the one new game.
No.
What other new games are out?
got Dead Rising 4, Frankie's Big Package.
Dead Rising 4.
That's not a new game, though. There's already Dead Rising 4.
Got,
This is just...
got Okami HD.
So,
That's just...
Fuck you guys! I'm trying to help you out. This is a whole new thing.
Well, no, I
a
mean,
whole new
it's-
month for you guys to buy new video games. Listen to this. I'm gonna go down the list, and you guys are gonna shut up. December 5th.
You're gonna shut up. You're gonna listen to what I have to say.
December 5th has Dead Rising 4, Frankie's Big Package, and Destiny 2's first DLC, Curse of Osiris, coming out, which is probably going to have a lot of either controversy or really good things to come out. We'll see. what happens.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Is that a DLC for Dead Rising, or what is that?
It is a Dead Rising DLC. Yes.
I feel like that game came out like
The game
a
came out
million
last
years
year,
ago.
December
Yeah.
6th, yeah.
You know, those
Wait, Dead
games
Rising
fly.
Dead
4?
Rising 4's been
Yeah.
out for a year, but it's probably a DLC.
I thought it was more than a year.
Either way, those
Isn't this where he can
fly
be
so
Mega
under the-
Man?
I have no
You
idea.
can be Mega Man in like every game.
Really? I thought
You
this.
are Mega Man in every game.
It's like in
Mega
the
Man
first
right
game,
now.
you can get the armbuster cannon.
No, but I thought in this one, like, he's straight up, like, he looks like Mega Man X.
You just Mega Man.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I played Mega Man. That's what I was. That's what it was.
Dude, I miss Mega Man. Sorry.
God, what
I'm
a,
going to
what
go
a
off
non
topic.
sequitur way to introduce
I'm
how
just
much
saying.
you missed that game.
I do.
I miss Mega Man too.
But she plays Mega Man. You know what other game he plays Mega Man? One of my favorite games.
I miss Mega Man, dude.
Also on December
do.
on December 9th, moving along, we have Loco Roco 2. That's going to be coming out for PS4. December 12th, we have Fallout VR PUBG for Xbox, which Mick is excited about, and RE7 Gold Edition, which I'm sure will have like all the DLC and stuff coming out. I think that came out with DLC. It did.
Is that the Nathan Redfield expansion?
It is. Are you being serious? Yeah.
See what I said?
I like it. I like it. And then lastly, lastly, in time for the holiday season, we have Okami HD for the PS4, which
want that.
is one of those games I feel like doesn't necessarily need a remake because the
okay.
graphics are kind of timeless already. But another reason to get that game.
Sure,
and
why
play
not?
Is
That
always
game's
good.
beautiful.
So good.
Capcom, they'll just keep doing remakes of Okami, but
Not
do
make a Mega
anything.
Man game.
Not
What
make
the
a Mega
like-
Man game.
I want to
You
sneak.
give more love to
dude,
that stupid dog than
I want to find a
character
way
you
to
have
get
30
to
games
the
for.
to the Capcom HQ, go inside their vault, and steal a copy of Mega Man Legends 3 for my DS.
Alright.
That's all I want.
Is that what is that? Is that like a
You never played Mega Man Legends?
no?
Oh,
Go home.
oh my God.
Go
Okay.
home.
All right.
Mega Man Legends.
We're almost done with the
Bad
show,
host.
anyways. Yeah.
Look up, like,
outta here.
if you actually, I have Mega Man Legends 2, but I don't have the first one. I have 2 for the PlayStation 1. Such a good game. Like,
Yeah,
it's so different than Mega Man, typical Mega Man games. Because you think of like side scroller, it's open world, 3D. You can run around. It's very RPG-ish.
Oh.
Very good game.
Wait for the DS. For the DS.
No, it was
Yeah.
for 64 and PlayStation 1.
Oh,
yeah.
I do know what you're talking about. I've not
Such
played
a
it. My
game.
friend used to play it all the time when I was growing up.
was
and I like,
great.
what is this?
Have you
Man?
looked at that game lately? Some fugly games.
Wait, Mega Man Legends?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but what do you expect? Everyone's got closed giant fists in that game. It's really funny.
I'm just saying, this is
A lot of those
Yeah,
are
but
ugly as a
it
time.
still plays really well.
Yeah?
Like,
I
it's still
haven't played it in years.
It still plays really well. The way that Zelda Ocarina of Time mastered and invented the targeting system, Mega Man Legends does that really well. Because you can run.
Mega Man copies that thing.
Well,
really well.
yeah, but
that's
it
what
makes
makes it copies
sense.
people.
But it makes sense because you've got a buster, so you're just running around shooting while targeting your enemy. And
Sure.
it's just a really good game. Like, it's so much fun. And then Legends 3 was supposed to come out on DS, and then at the very last minute, Capcom was just like, nah, we don't want to make this
This game
anymore.
was basically done.
I know.
Christmas is around the corner, man, and I don't know if you got me a present yet, so maybe Legends.
You can borrow Legends too. I don't have the first
No,
one.
I want you
I
to
might
gift
have
it to
the
me.
first one for 64.
Well, there you go. You can borrow Zach's
Yay!
64. Although that one's weird. It's called Mega Man 64 instead of
Yeah.
Mega Man Legends.
Yes,
Yes,
I
it is,
what
I
you're
know.
talking about. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I always thought that was weird.
Anyways, digression. Wow.
I digress.
What day is it?
I miss
know.
Mega
I'm
Man.
late.
Yeah, so those games are coming out in December. Pretty much the industry is kind of starting to wind down, and holiday season around the corner, so everyone's kind of banking on like their bigger things, like Microsoft for the Xbox One X. The Switch is probably going to do really well as well. And yeah, so it's everyone take your time with that list. Start figuring out your gamer in your life.
Soak it in.
Yeah, see what you're gonna buy for them. And
Drink
then
it in.
also, I think these games, like Doom VFR, potential contenders for Game of the Year, probably not. But they're trying to sneak it in right before.
Maybe for a
2018.
virtual
I
reality
mean,
game.
it's good things because you got to think like between Black Friday and Christmas, I'm sure things like PlayStation VR did well sales wise and are going to do well sales wise and you need some stuff to play for that. So having things like Doom VFR and Skyrim and stuff like that, it's good to have because then people just have options to
true.
I have this big weird goggle thing on my face. What can I play on it?
What
Yeah.
can I do?
I think
All
PS,
those stuff.
Yeah.
PS Plus has a couple free VR games as well
They
for
do,
the past
indeed.
couple months.
Yeah,
So
they actually have one coming out for December.
Yep.
The members.
yeah, they do.
Last thing, guys, that I think is interesting that's just just in time for the holiday season is Mario is coming out with a
Just in time.
cereal. Super Mario cereal.
Can't wait.
Basically kind of as an ad campaign in tandem with the Switch and Mario Odyssey that just came out. But it launches, it's weird to say that cereal launches, but it launches on December 11th. And the reason that this
I'm
is
going
such
to
a...
the midnight release of GameChops.
For cereal.
Well, the weird thing about this thing is why it's kind of, everyone's got, it's on everyone's tongue, is that the box itself, not only does it hold within it wild berry flavored cereal as well as power up shaped marshmallows, but the box,
Wild berry.
I don't know. Wild Luigi berry. But the reason why
Wario berry.
The reason why it's such a weird thing is because the box itself, you can scan it like an amiibo and it gives you in-game currency and health in Mario Odyssey.
Some good old radiation box. Get my cereal nice and radiated and
It's so weird.
get tasty.
Is the cereal going to be more expensive because it has technology in it?
Well, no, 'cause it's just a sticker. It's like
It's like a barcode.
yeah, it's like super cheap technology. Like those little NFC.
Those Nintendo bastards.
They really have like nanobots in the cereal so that when you eat it, Nintendo can track you.
Then you go into the game
Then you
like
are
the way
the
that Mario
amiibo.
possesses a frog. Wow, wow, and you just get stuck in. I'd be okay with that. It'd be fun as hell.
Yeah.
Until
You
you
just
start
trapped in
realizing
cereal forever.
that. Yeah. No. I thought you meant the game, not the cereal.
You get stuck in the cereal.
Then your family
That would
eats
suck.
you, and it's a really terrifying short story. I know. We could write it.
That'd be a bad Mario game.
I'm not a fan. Nintendo's throwing all kinds of things. So that's I don't. There's not really much else to talk about besides.
I mean, I hope it tastes good. I'll get a
Yeah.
box.
Well, that,
Get a
and it's
box.
like it's so weird that Nintendo's branching out this far as to do cereal again. I mean, they tried that a
I
while
mean,
ago.
they've done a lot of cereal over the years. It's something,
Yeah.
obviously they market towards kids. That's a kid's thing. And I really feel like they really missed a generation with, the Wii U, with like kids growing up. And so it's like they need to try and tackle that with whatever they
Cereal?
can.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it's just,
Well,
things like cereal, things like the amusement park kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then the Mario film
movies,
is
and,
potentially going
it's
to
just
happen too.
anything they can do to like get their brand in front of the faces of children. It would just
I'm sure it'll also help. Well, no, it'll help
Mario.
Nintendo's Switch sales as well. Be like, look, Mom, this box, I can use it for a Switch if I had one, and then you get one for
Right,
Christmas,
Steven,
woman.
Jesus.
I
You're so
hate
goddamn
you.
sassy.
and then you get one for Christmas with the Mario Odyssey, and then you get your cereal, play your Odyssey, and then everyone's living a good
And sing
life.
the song, and then all of a sudden, your entire family.
Oh,
just
it's a good
become
song.
Nintendo bots.
It's a good Mario Odyssey song.
It's a good one.
good
Speaking of
song.
music.
Also,
Man, I like this
I
episode.
wish-
There's a lot of music going on.
I wish the cereal was called like Goombos or something like that.
Goombos
Yeah.
taste like real Goomba.
Yeah.
Or if it was like themed as if like Bowser had taken over the world and he was like implementing his like products onto the masses and becomes like a communist kind of thing. I don't know where that was going.
Weird.
I don't know.
Really weird.
And then,
I would
and
also
then
not
Bowser
like-
slowly takes over the world one corporation at a time.
I don't like that game either.
I like it.
What does Mario do with this game?
He has to fight the tyranny of the
Fight
commercialism.
corporate espionage?
Corpian.
It's just like
Corpian. Get by over here. Anyways. This
Man,
is
you're-
random.
you're
Guys,
bad.
the
You're-
show is over. We're going off the rails
it's a
here.
bad show.
I
Oh,
liked
wait.
it. It matches my personality, which is random and eccentric. So
You know
have
what
a good
I
time.
don't like?
Me.
I am out of milk.
Oh, I got
glad.
another sip. I'm gonna have it with my Mario cereal. Psych! I'm gonna drink it right now.
While he takes a sip of milk, guys, I want to go ahead and say thank you so much for watching. Players, we enjoy your faces every week, and guess what? We're back every other week with more exclusive stuff, and every Thursday with more multiplayer stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to give a special thank you to DJ CUTMAN for his amazing chiptune music that intros the show and extros it. That's a word I just made up.
Extros?
Extros it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to make things happen.
You're bad with the words.
No. I'm trying to be like
Yeah,
a
yes,
linguist.
yes.
yes. Also, you can follow everything that we have talked about today on our Twitter and our Instagram pages at Go Multiplayer. You can also follow me and my personal page on Twitter at Mastorado and on my Instagram at Guillermo_Dorado. You can follow Zach here at
I'm at milk.com.
Oh, yes.
Gross.
I'm right there with you.
At Zach Matzganis, ZACKMATZGANIS.
Boom and Javier. Where can they find
I'm
you?
at chocolatemilt.com.
What?
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, I
I was
can do
wondering who.
Yeah, they're right, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter at multiplayerhav, and then it's the same thing on Reddit.
that. Oh, you finally did it.
Yeah, I said it last week.
Hey.
If you
I was
remember.
listening. I tuned you up.
But it's cool. I like posting stuff on Reddit and, trying to just talk to random people on Reddit. It's fun.
Nice.
It's good
I
times.
didn't realize that Reddit was also a dating service. Hey! Okay, anyways, you can also follow Nathan.
I don't need that.
Huh?
I don't need that.
Why? Because you got Zach?
What?
Hey, what's up?
No,
You
but
can
you
also
do,
follow-
you lonely bitch.
Huh?
What?
Oh man.
What? Look, all right.
Sure.
I have met some really interesting people on the Reddit dating service. Okay, I met you.
No, you haven't.
This joke is going nowhere, Hub. You can follow Nathan
wasn't a joke.
at Multiplayer Nath, and you can follow Nick.
You're bad with words.
At Nick to the Wood on both Instagram and Twitter. And that's really about it, guys. So
bad
before the
show.
show goes any more off the rails,
You suck.
God, I'm not doing it. I'm not extra on this.
By the way, we would just want to say thank you to DJ CUTMAN
Right,
because
we
we
already did
love
that.
you.
We already did
and I
that.
just want to say that I'm on Twitter at MultiplayerHob and on Reddit at MultiplayerHob. Zach, where can they find you?
what is happening?
This
What is
show.
happening? Bye.
Keep on grinding. We'll see you at the respawn later.
On behalf of Multiplayer, Mario would like to send a special thank you to Jaden Lawrence, Arturo Mendera, Mercedan Kroll Pitaru, and Mario Dorado. Thank you so much for watching.